Hey guys, welcome back to my old tractor shed. Today I am putting the axle housing, rear axle back together and then back onto the machine. I've already done the one over here on the left hand side. Do that off camera so I can figure out all the tools and figure out what the heck I'm doing. Not that big a deal really. I have to put the seal into this end. I never changed the bearings. I cleaned them, looked them all over. So the inner race is here, and down on the bottom here, this has been covered up in a rag the whole time. I didn't take this bearing off. I sprayed some cleaner on it and blew it all out. I've had it wrapped up and cleaned this whole time, a zip tie keeping it there. But I've taken a rag and I've gone through everything. I think I'm okay. So, got new seals for this. And the other one, all I did is set it on here. Let me get the other camera. And to put a lip seal like this in, all I do is try and hold it down and then just take the hammer and just, obviously I've got it high on this side, and I'm tapping on the outside. I want to avoid this inner lip. And I had this side here quite high, so I'm just bringing it down until it's equal, then I'll go around and around. As I'm getting closer now, I'm just flattening the hammer out, but I'm still trying to avoid that lip. And I think we're going to call that done. So now I'm going to put some oil on the seal and I'm going to squirt some oil on the bearing down here at the bottom. Then I actually have, it's fairly heavy, but I have to take this over and slide it down. Of course, I can't see what's going on with the seal at all. A little bit of faith, I guess. Rock it ever so slightly. It seems to work out. If it doesn't, I'll have an oil leak, but I know how to fix it. Start all over. So move that out to there. There. I'm going to take off my little rag that I was using to keep it clean. So I'm just going to put a little gear oil down here over this bearing. And I'm going to let it go down. It goes onto the surface below the bearing is the surface where the seal is going to ride. So I'm putting oil down there as well. And then I'm going to put some oil up here on the seal itself. Gear oil. This is 80W90 I'm putting in here. And I'm also putting a little wee bit on that bearing race. Then, if the bearing gods are good to me and the seal gods are good to me, I'm going to take this audio recorder out of my pocket. I can see me making a big racket if I bang it. I'm going to go down over this shaft, careful like, and then when I get down to the bottom, I just try and rock it a little wee bit. Don't let it drop completely. And I'm on the bearing. Again, hopefully, I don't know how else to go about that. I see I got a little wee bit of crud here just from sitting on the floor. The floor was swept, but now this bearing here, this other bearing's been wrapped up in a rag this whole time. This goes down onto there. This one is pressed on way back again. I don't know how many videos back now. To get this out, I had turned this up on a block of wood and I had used the weight to remove this bearing. It is on there pretty good. But I had made up way back in anticipation of this. I found a chunk of pipe. It was the right size. It's going to fit on the inner race to push that. It'd be nice, real nice to do this in a press, but there's no way in hell I'm doing this in the press. So all I have is a block of hardwood and a fairly heavy hammer, and I just do my best to go straight, don't go crooked. You can tell as soon as it's there, the sound changes altogether. I will probably have reduced the audio so as not to, especially if you're listening with headphones on. I do try to do that. I watch an awful lot of YouTube channels where they use some power tool or something that goes crazy. When I'm doing the editing, I do my best to drop these loud noises because it sure as hell pisses me off when I'm watching a video and they do that. But anyway, that's that. Well, I'm going to put a little bit of oil in here. I mean, I'm going to be adding oil to this and I'm probably letting it sit for a good long time before I actually start to run anything. So by then the oil should be there. Anyway, put a little oil on it. All right, the way I did this yesterday, I got to put my gasket on there. This gasket actually only fits one way. If you've got the wrong way, some of the holes are missing. And on the other side, I did decide to put some gasket maker. Yeah. I see a little bit of dirt there. Clean that out. I've taken emery cloth and I went around this and cleaned it. And I cleaned that. I've cleaned all the bolt holes. I washed in the parts washer, wire wheeled all the bolts. I think I'm ready. But I'm going to put some gasket maker on here. All right, what I need to do, I need to lower this down. And then get this up there, right way up. There's a single bolt at the top and there's a pair at the bottom. Single here, pair there. Not that difficult. It is a little on the heavy side, though. I had a piece of plywood here. I had to go get a couple pieces of 3/4 inch pine to beef it up. I didn't weigh it. Oh my gosh. But it is heavy enough. All right. That's why I hate that gasket stuff. Doesn't seem to matter how careful you are. No, not the end of the world. Okay, let's bring that a little closer before we raise it up. All right, so gasket's there. I've got my bolts here. A little bit of wiggling involved to get that bull gear back onto this spline. All right, I got to raise the back of that up a little bit with a wedge. Same thing I had to do on the other side. So what I'm actually trying to do is I'm trying to rotate the gear on the inside, and I can wiggle this to a certain extent, trying to get the spline in. The other one was a bit of a PR too. Alright, I've got it started. Now it's just wiggle, push, pull. Not that hard. Certainly a lot easier with this rig. I couldn't imagine doing this by yourself without some kind, even an engine hoist or something. I don't know. So I pushed it in, pushes the gear over, then I just wiggle the gear and I bring the gear onto the spline a bit more. Where's my light? I can see I've actually got it a little wee bit too high. It's not touching my little block of wood at the back. So I'm just going to let her down just a little wee bit. Okay, that looks better. I think I'm going to try and get a bolt started. Grab the gear on the inside, and it won't turn because it is still sitting on that block of wood. But I'm just wiggling it, make sure I don't have anything bound up. And I'm pulling it in with the bolt, but I've only got my hand, a few inches from the top of the ratchet, so I'm not exactly putting a huge amount of force on there. Oops. All right, I'm going to take this high lift out of the way. One more bolt here somewhere, way down there. Most of the bolts I'm able to turn them most of the way in by hand. So that looks all good. Okay, let me snug these up and then we'll have a look on the inside. All right, so on the inside, there's a big, heavy piece here. 2 bolts that have to go through here. There's a locking piece here, and you can see that this one's damaged. The one on the opposite side, one I did earlier, it was also damaged, and I was thinking about making some new ones. Then I went and looked at the 510. I went and looked at the 510, and the little locking plates on it are actually in pretty good shape. Well, one is anyway. I'm probably still going to have to make one. I'm just looking at the other one right now, and it isn't perfect either. But this one here is good, so I'm going to use it. And then, of course, there was a whole stack of shims. There was a whole stack of shims that had going behind there. These shims are for setting the preload. I'm sure in both those bearings. So I have to line them all up so that there's a hole. I'm missing a hole right now. There it is. And I'm going to put, there's a couple of thick ones and then a bunch of thin ones. I'm going to put, I don't know if it matters, probably shouldn't matter, but I'm going to put my locking plate on. I'll put a bolt in the locking plate, put that through there, and then I'm going to put all of these shims. Where in the hell's that camera? I'm going to put all of these shims on. And then what I did on the other side, I got camera, maybe you can see, the bolt holes are not vertical. So, make sure that I'm in neutral. I can turn this now, quite easy. And I'm going to get those two bolt holes so they're up and down so that I can put this in and these will all hang into the correct location for me to put the other bolt in. And then I should be able to get that through everything. Okay, let me get the torque wrench and we'll get those torqued up. So in the service manual under final drive, the crown wheel to differential housing, they're saying 43 to 51 foot-pounds. I did that the other day. I set it for 50. And it says hex screws in inner end of rear axle. I think that's what these are. It says 65 to 72, so I've got my torque wrench set to 70. And they get those locking plates anyway. I'm sure I'm going to need to be in gear. Get that out of my way. My torque wrench set, like I say, it's set to 70 foot-pounds. What the hell is that in metric? I'll put the metric below. It has both actually in that book, and my torque wrench has both, but I work in foot-pounds because that's just the way things are. Oops, we need to be tightening, not loosening. I'm going to have to put, I'll have to zoom this camera up. I put it in gear, but of course it's turning in the spiders, and this one's turning and that one's turning the other way. Okay, that's no big deal. I haven't put the PTO lock back in yet because I want to, that's this right here actually. Where's my close-up camera? This is the mechanism to engage and disengage the posi lock. I've got a plastic cap in the other side at the moment. I want to take that apart and clean it, paint it, as well as this mechanism here at the back. So, I guess I'm not going to torque that today. Don't let me forget. Take the tension off of this. You're not supposed to store these when they're under tension. So that's no big deal. Yeah, and I need to make up another plate for the opposite side anyway. So you know what? I'll get that done. And then when I get the mechanism put back in, I'll do both these at the same time. But I got to remember to do that before I put the top on. All right, one more thing I wanted to get done today. This mechanism here at the back with this little lever. In the previous video, I talked about a little tiny relief valve or load sensing valve or something that's at the top of the rock shop cover. This is the lever that comes up against it. And actually there's a spot for a pin to go through here, all the way across. And this is where your top link for your 3-point hitch would go to. So yeah, somehow or other, I don't know whether it's a load limiter or exactly what that does. Anyway, quite a bit of crud and corruption down in there. I've been looking at this for a while. I've actually already loosened these nuts. They were extremely tight. I want to take this off, take it apart. Let me get this off. And there's that. The very first one I was trying to take out, quite a bit of dirt there for sure, and lots down here. The stud was turning, so that was a bit of a challenge. And all except for one have a broken lock washer, so I'll have to do something there. So yeah, I'll get this cleaned up. I'll dismantle this. There's just a pin there, and it looks like that pin, another broken washer, looks like that pin. That pin is caged in the housing and wouldn't be able to come out, but I can see now I'm able to push that. And push that out, clean that all up, take that apart, clean that up. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a cover for this, either a piece of plywood or a piece of cardboard taped on, and I'm going to get the brakes on. Then I can clean this, and I'll paint this. I'll paint all these pieces at the same time, trying to avoid painting just a little tiny bit, cleaning brushes and opening the can, pain in the ass. Enough. I think that's all I'm going to do here right now, at least on camera. But yeah, next video, I've got to sort out all the pieces for the brakes and figure that out. We'll get the brakes back on and then get some covers on here so that I can do some cleaning and painting. But I think we're going to leave this one here, guys. Appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out in the shed with me, and you guys take care. We'll see you next time in my old tractor shed. Ciao!